Hello everyone, I'm Bill Hammond and I actually paid to see this, and welcome back to my continuing coverage of this year's Oscar Blitz, breaking down every category at the 95th Academy Awards. Be sure to subscribe to actuallypaid.com to keep up with each contest, both on video and in print, and if you happen to enjoy anything you see here, well, there are those nice little positive buttons down beneath the video, and I'd appreciate it if you clicked them. Now, on to today's category, Best Actor. This is normally one of the marquee competitions. This year, not so much, though. Usually it's on the women's side of the acting equation where you see nominations that come from what I call showcase films, where the lead or supporting performance is literally the only thing the movie has going for it, and the Academy is just desperate to fill out the list to get the 5 nominees. This year, however, it is very much the men's side that is lacking, as at least 3 of the 5 featured performances are in showcase projects, maybe even 4, and at best, this is a 2-horse race. I'll take it as a minor victory because it means that for once, there are proper roles out there for women, but doesn't really help us here. Let's get to the nominees. Austin Butler in Elvis. The breakout performance from Austin Butler is, as I've said before, literally the only good thing about Elvis as a movie. The way he moves, the way he talks, the way he sings. When you watch his performance, you don't see an actor playing Elvis Presley, you see Elvis Presley. The movie leaves a lot to be desired in its other elements, particularly Baz Luhrmann's air quotes, artistic and technical decisions, and the blasphemous misuse of Tom Hanks, but Butler's performance is the saving grace. It's the one aspect that absolutely had to be right, and it was. Win or lose, Butler should be a superstar after this. Colin Farrell in The Banshees of Sharon. Never has a dull character been so compelling. It certainly helps that Colin Farrell has a long-standing personal and professional rapport with his foil Brendan Gleeson, because it adds a degree of reality to the performance. The characters have been friends forever, and Farrell and Gleeson have been friends for at least the last 15 years. Imagine how stunned anyone would be if their actual best friend said that after more than a decade, they no longer wanted to associate. That's the verisimilitude that having this pair play off each other lends to Farrell's turn. But even apart from that, he makes what is described as a boring character, even by his allies, truly sympathetic, because while he's a dullard, he's a nice, decent, loving dullard. He's happy in his simple life, and he's being judged for it through no fault of his own. His reactions, while repetitive, which is sort of the point, are completely natural, which endears him both to his community and to the audience. In a movie with an absolutely loaded cast, Farrell almost effortlessly shines the brightest. Brendan Fraser in The Whale. The performance here is strong, but a large part of it, if you'll forgive the pun, comes from the makeup job. Fraser had to figure out a way to maneuver inside hundreds of pounds of prosthetics, which is a unique challenge in itself. Darren Aronofsky's film leans into the grotesquerie of Charlie's condition, bringing an extra degree of sympathy from Fraser's melodramatic line readings. Charlie himself is not all that compelling of a character, because he's trying to elicit pity while actively choosing to die when he doesn't need to. But Fraser makes it believable thanks to his labored breathing, pained eyes, and the little hours he put in every day to both transform into Charlie and relearn how to move. Paul Mescal in Aftersun. Like Brian Tyree Henry and Andrea Riseborough, this is certainly a surprise nomination. He's up for Independent Spirit and also got a BAFTA nod, but otherwise Aftersun was all but completely ignored. It was a critical and indie darling, but didn't make waves with mainstream audiences. It's a fine film, but the biggest surprise for me is that of all the things to nominate in this movie, it's Mescal. He does a really good job as an emotionally distant father taking his daughter on vacation while coping with his own worsening depression. But it has to be said, he's not the lead here. His daughter is. Frankie Corio as Sophie carries the story and the true emotional weight, as a young girl on the cusp of puberty trying to figure out how children date as opposed to adults. This is her journey, not Callum's. He's ever present, but he's basically a conduit and a sounding board rather than the instigator of the plot. What I'm saying is that I'd be perfectly fine with him being nominated for supporting actor, but he doesn't really belong here. But in a year where the men's side of the acting equation is decidedly weaker than the women's, I guess you have to fill out the category somehow. Bill Nighy in Living. Bill Nye shines as a stoic, proper bureaucrat who rarely shows emotion, is soft-spoken, and at his core is incredibly decent and caring, opting to clear one line of red tape to get a minor project done so that he can have a small legacy after he dies. In short, this is just what Bill Nye does. He embodies characters that are, for lack of a better term, perfectly British. This is just another day at the office for him. I'm glad he's getting the recognition he so richly deserves, as this is somehow his first ever Oscar nomination. But this is a role he can do in his sleep, and in some shots it almost looks like he is. So with all that said, here are my rankings. In 5th place is Bill Nye. As I said, I liked Living, but this is pretty standard for him. 4th place goes to Paul Mescal, 3rd to Brendan Fraser, 2nd to Austin Butler, and my imaginary vote goes to Colin Farrell in what may be his best performance to date. The man just keeps getting better. That's all for this week. Keep it locked on the blog, actuallypaid.com, for more coverage of this year's Blitz, and I'll be back next week with another breakdown, not to mention the March edition of the worst trailer in the world! Until then, I'm Bill Hammond. I actually paid to see this.